The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme, your wrestling girl talk. As always, I am joined by Iridian of the Rest Friends podcast, and we have a lot of wine to spill. With 2023 winding down, we are chatting about the WWE returns that we've seen this year, including John Cena, The Rock, Randy Orton, Nia Jax, Kairi Sane, and CM Punk. We're also talking about the blockbuster signing of Jade Cargill, who is formerly with AEW. Can we expect to see more returns in WWE in 2024? AEW's first ever Continental Classic is underway, and we have seen some amazing matchups within this tournament. Should AEW incorporate a Continental Classic for their women's division next year? We spoke about returns, but there are departures in professional wrestling. QT Marshall has announced that he will no longer be with AEW by the end of 2023. Where does QT plan on going next? We're spilling the wine on where we would like to see QT go, as well as some other individuals who may be up for free agency in 2024. He may think he's better than you, but can we see MJF in WWE in the upcoming year? Or even an absolute superstar jumping ship to WWE? It's been a minute, but we're back with our Spill in the Wine segment where we sound off on some interesting topics we've seen in the professional wrestling space recently. And this time, we're talking art theft in the IWC and why we need to cut it out. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. What's up, guys? We're back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme. I am joined, as always, by Iridian Fierro. Iridian, how in the hell are you?
I am amazing. Fantastic. How are you?
You know what?
Oh, my God.
2 companions, and I have a water. Women need at least 3 drinks to get through life.
The latte that I finished, and I have water. I'm missing the third one.
Okay, it's there in spirit.
Yes.
There has been a lot happening in the professional wrestling world. We've seen a lot of returns recently, specifically to WWE. Within the last 3 months, there have been, in my opinion, some of the best WWE returns. We've seen the return of John Cena for a little bit. We saw The Rock come back. Nia Jax, Jade Cargill was signed to WWE. Carlito came back. Kairi Sane, Randy Orton, and Chicago's own CM Punk have all either returned or debuted in the last 3 months in WWE. Interesting times, right? You have a lot of people who are coming back from very recent releases, such as Kairi Sane and Nia Jax, but then you also have some all-time greats in there like John Cena, Randy Orton, The Rock. Some people might put CM Punk on that list. What have been some of your favorite returns or debuts both this year and in WWE history?
Oh, man. Definitely John Cena, because I love him. He's the guy who got me into wrestling, period. So he's the reason why I'm watching right now. So anytime that I get to see John Cena, I am very excited. Also, we just got Randy Orton back, and Randy has honestly been missed, right? We had Cody injured a little bit at the beginning of this year, and then we got him back. So that was an exciting thing to witness because we were there. We got to see Cody's return at the Royal Rumble.
And we got to see when he went out with his bruised pec.
That was insane.
Don't do that again.
Little boob injury that he had, he has recovered and is just wonderful now. So being able to see, Cody and Randy, and then they had a War Games match together, insane. Yeah, definitely probably those 3 come to mind immediately. What about you?
I would definitely say John Cena as well, because just like you, twinning, I got into wrestling because I saw John Cena on the Spanish channel, which I say all the time, but I am excited to see Nia Jax back. I know a lot of people rag on her for wrestling skills, whatever, but Nia Jax is cool. Okay, her hair is always on point. Her makeup is always on point. Her gear is on point. Like, I'm here for it. I saw a picture uploaded the other day and I was like, bad.com. Don't even need to say anything else. Don't even need to see you in the ring. You look good, girl. Randy Orton was a good one, but I wish that Randy Orton would have been a surprise comeback. I think WWE, and I've said this a lot, that WWE tends to spoil the surprise returns. There's been a couple this year that have been speculated, but it hasn't been confirmed. I personally am not a CM Punk fan, so I don't even rank CM Punk on my list. But WWE, in regards to his return, gave so many little hints here and there. They didn't flat out say, we've signed CM Punk, he's coming back. But there were hints here and there, and everyone was kind of like, is CM Punk returning to WWE after being gone for however many years? Or are they just us? Obviously, we saw he came back in Chicago, his hometown. The crowd goes wild, etc. And, now we've seen him on NXT. He's officially a member of the Raw roster. But this has honestly been such an interesting time in professional wrestling because we have never seen anything like this. We have never seen somebody go from AEW after having a physical altercation with somebody on the roster, cooling down at home with Larry for about 2 or 3 months, and then coming back to a completely different company that he acted like he didn't even want to go back to. And that's just stating the facts. Whether you like CM Punk or you don't, that's just how it's played out. And I've noticed it seems like a lot of people this time around are kind of like, yeah, we like CM Punk. And also to my women out there who saw that picture the other day of him posed up with Cora Jade and Roxanne, and y'all having thoughts about CM Punk, stand up, sister. Stand up.
We're better than this.
We are.
We're better than this.
I'm not saying he's ugly, but think about the messiest person you know. It's a man, isn't it? That's what lyric wrestling always says.
Think about the messiest coworker ever in the history, right? Of messy coworkers. It's CM Punk. Absolutely. Yeah.
We said it at the same time because we 100% agree. Now, if we think about WWE history all-time returns, I cannot forget about John Cena returning at that Royal Rumble. He came back early. That entrance was amazing. Absolutely. He posed in that little aisleway like, yeah, I'm back. What now? Iconic. Yeah. Sasha Banks coming back after she had been out with injury. I think she had attacked Natty. She was acting like she was besties with her with the wig. That was iconic. I will never forget that. That was we've had so many good returns back to WWE in regards to injuries, right? I do want to talk about Chicago Survivor Series. You were there. You saw the return of Randy Orton. You also saw the return, kind of. You were in the press room of CM Punk. You saw it through a monitor. What are your thoughts on WWE's decision to bring back Randy Orton, who was out for 18 months from back surgery, a surgery that a lot of people thought he wasn't going to come back from, return on the same night as CM Punk? In your opinion, as a fellow Chicagoan, do you think Punk overshadowed Randy's moment?
Absolutely. And it started earlier on because we knew that Randy Orton was going to come out, right? Cody had teased it before. And at Survivor Series, in the first couple segments that they said, we can't get a hold of Randy, you immediately gave Chicago hope. Chicago is a rowdy crowd. And for some reason, there are a lot of people who are very, very ride or die CM Punk, right? We're never going to get the CM Punk paletas back again. These were $7 whenever you went to an AEW show. We're never going to see these again. I don't know if WWE will ever make a lollipop or a ice cream sandwich of CM Punk. Who knows? We're never going to get those anymore. And I feel like when he came back, the show was over, right? The match was won. I was not there anymore. We were in the press room, and people started freaking out. They're like, CM Punk is back. We had no idea what was happening. There was a tiny little monitor on the floor. I thought somebody had fallen. And I'm like, why is nobody helping this person up?
Not a life alert scare.
Everyone was looking down, and I'm like, oh my goodness, literally no one is helping whoever just fell. And they're like, no, CM Punk is back. And I get on Peacock, and sure enough, CM Punk is there walking out, and I am very shook because I'm like, there's no way that this man talked so much months ago and literally ended the way that he ended things in WWE, went to AEW, talked so much smack, did so many petty things in AEW, and now he's back in WWE. Like, I get it. Money is money, right? But I don't think that it was the right night to bring back CM Punk. You could have waited until there's another Chicago night. You could have built, they're going to be here again in January. You could have had him here on a Monday Night Raw. You could have given Randy his moment. The show could have ended, and that would have been fine. Yes, it did get buzz. People talked about Survivor Series, but Survivor Series was an all right pay-per-view on its own. I don't think they needed that CM Punk pop, which I hate it. But I'm biased, right? Because I'm probably one of the only Chicagoans who hate CM Punk.
Well, for me, I it's intriguing, right? Because like you said, he went to another company, he did his little shebang there, he comes back, and I thought it was interesting how Seth Rollins reacted. Now, we still don't know if that was a work or not. They're currently feuding on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins recently cut a promo that was very reminiscent of a promo that Adam Hangman Page cut against CM Punk, and people put the two side by side, and I was like, that's very interesting. I do feel some type of way about CM Punk company hopping. Obviously, you know, we think about Cody, right? Like Cody started out fresh in WWE. He grew a little bit, he did the whole Stardust thing, etc., and then he jumped over to AEW. He basically built this company up. He was there for a couple years and then he decided to jump back to WWE. I don't necessarily look at that the same way I look at the CM Punk thing, because CM Punk was at WWE. He built his whole career at WWE. I don't necessarily think Cody Rhodes built his entire career in the WWE. I think Cody was not taken seriously his first time around. Yeah, he was a third generation superstar. His dad was Dusty Rhodes, but he wasn't at the caliber of like your third generation superstar Randy Orton, who was the lead of the group Legacy that he was in, right? He wasn't taken seriously. And I felt like he went to AEW, he built up that capital, he built up his name, and obviously he was in the indies and, you know, other companies like that. But he really built himself in AEW. He made himself a hot commodity. Obviously, towards the end there, he had some rough times with his belt being thrown back at him. But now he's back in WWE, and he is this household name almost. You think of WWE now, you think of Roman Reigns, you think of Cody Rhodes. He has done a successful turnaround of being in these different companies. I cannot say the same for CM Punk. CM Punk's reputation that he's built along the way of company jumping is not cute at all. And, you know, maybe it's because of the accessibility of being able to spill the chisme on the timeline now and how easily accessible news is, backstage news, so to speak. But everybody knows the negative stuff that CM Punk has done. I feel like he sat down for a little bit with his little dog and his superstar wife, and he was like, look, I'm getting old. I got to do something. I have to retire the right way. And I feel like that was his way to kind of get in the door to WWE. Like, look, let me do this final run. I'm getting older. Let me come back to where I started and retire. I feel like this is the CM Punk retirement tour, because where the else is he going after this?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is back in WWE with those intentions of retiring there, because if you remember, you know, months ago, he was seen backstage. He was talking to Triple H. He was talking to The Miz, kind of like making amends, right? You know, trying to fix all of these prior situations. But I agree with you. It's not cute. And Cody's story is absolutely, yes, different, because, you know, Cody was in WWE and then he kind of went into the indies and, you know, did more things. He went to Ring of Honor. He was in New Japan. And he literally created the company that hired CM Punk, that brought back CM Punk. So Cody is like upper management level. CM Punk is given employee, right? And to just be left and right there, it's not looking cute, not happening, not for me.
I think for me, just as a fan, of wrestling in general, I do worry about CM Punk being a liability at this point, just because of what we've seen happen in AEW. And who knows? Who knows what's in his contract? Who knows if they give him little red, yellow, and green flashcards like they did when we were in preschool and turn his little card when he does something wrong? I don't know. But with the state of professional wrestling, we don't need any more drama from CM Punk. Like, I just need him to go to work. I need him to clock in. I need him to get on his Zoom. I need him to do his job, and I need him to return home. He does not need to beef with anybody backstage. Just go to Mindy's Bakery, get a muffin, get a bagel, get whatever you need to regulate your mood, and go the home.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? If he's going to be back in WWE and he's done, you know, with the pettiness, like, I'm absolutely here for it, because these storylines really built themselves, right?
Yeah.
So much history with a lot of people on the roster. We're seeing it right now with Seth Rollins. If we are going to see that in WrestleMania, oh my God, I would love to see it night 1, night 2. You and I are going to be there. So could you imagine?
You said publicly that you are going to dye a strip of your hair blonde for Seth Rollins.
You're going to be able to pick a side. Either it's going to be left or right or both. Who knows? I might feel a little spicy, right? Showing up to, Lincoln Field with my 2 blonde streaks and my Burn It Down t-shirt. Oh my God. Seth Rollins is going to see me, okay? He's going to see me. That's the vibe I'm giving. So see, endless possibilities. And that's only one match, right? That's WrestleMania quality.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other people on the roster. Drew McIntyre would have a great feud with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens. There's the limit does not exist with this one.
Is there anyone else that you would like to see return to WWE in the near future? Whether it's somebody who was released recently or maybe someone that we haven't heard from in a while. Is there anyone that you're kind of like, I think that they would have a good WWE run?
I might get a little hate for saying this, but I think that Trinity and Mercedes would really, if they go back to WWE, I think everyone makes amends and, you know, their apologies that are given out. I always think about Trin and her glow belt. That, you know, it was just so innovative. She was so incredible. And them as a tag team, we were there to see them win those titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a special moment. They were just done so wrong. And it's very unfortunate. But now look at them. They are stars. And if anyone can go back to WWE, there's a lot of people who've done it, right? They go back to WWE after going somewhere else and they are great. So I think that if they're really showcasing the women now, Trin and Mercedes, they would be able to have great runs if they return. That's just what I think.
Mine is interesting.
Okay.
Matt Cardona.
I
feel like it would get a lot of buzz. And he's built a name for himself in the indies, and he's been doing that for years now. You know, he had his wife, Chelsea Green, who's now on the Raw roster. He had her by his side for a couple of those years. And now we see him with Steph DeLander, who was also in the WWE previously within the NXT brand. And Zack Ryder, as he was formerly called, he's really just made a name for himself in the indies. And, you know, obviously he tried to buy the name Zack Ryder. WWE still has it trademark. So you kind of have to wonder, like, has there been discussions there? Is there interest from both sides to have him come back? Where would he fit in? Because, yeah, Cody did the whole indie route and he built a name for himself in the indies and then he went to AEW, etc. But Matt Cardona has really been doing this, like, amazingly. Say what you will about Matt Cardona. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I feel like having him come back to WWE would be very interesting. And furthermore, I feel like he had such a influence on really WWE kind of getting into that social media world, right? And he still does his podcast. He's very much into action figures. Like, that could be a whole brand new avenue that WWE can go down and make more money and to really showcase, like, hey, we have superstars that have interest outside of professional wrestling. We know that Up, Up, Down, Down, which is like their video gaming system with the superstars, has had a lot of success. And obviously WWE creates video games. You know, the superstars are able to play that as well as other games. But think about that avenue of like action figures and toys. I mean, it's on the same realm of things. And I feel like having Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whatever he would go by if he came back to the WWE, kind of leading that effort could really help them in, you know, engaging their audience that might not be interested in vintage toys or action figures. It could kind of lead them to there. But at the same time, it could also entice those who are already into vintage toys, action figures, etc. And they'll feel like they have a place because another one of their interests is being served by WWE.
You know what? It's interesting that you mentioned Matt Cardona coming back because that would mean that we get a couple back together, right? And we just saw that Bianca and Montez are getting a feature on Hulu, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you already have Ms. and Mrs. So just bring back Total Divas, honestly.
Oh, my God.
We
need it.
Yeah, give me all of the couples.
Give us the reboot.
I'm here for Natty and Tyson. I'm here for Matt and Chelsea. Like, with those four couples alone, you know, Miz and Maurice and then Bianca and Montez, there's just so much content there already. You can throw in Ricochet and Samantha. Amazing. Like, the content is there.
You hear that? Bring back Total Divas until it's backwards. Bring it back. Bring it back. Many fans have recommended that Tony do a similar classic for the women's division. Do you think he should do it? Why or why not?
You know, people are already talking about this Continental Classic next year. They're like, oh my God, they should do it next year. No. Why would you do it next year? I honestly think this is like an every 2 years type of thing, maybe even every 3 years. You can have the Continental Classic, right? I don't think it needs to be a yearly thing. I feel like it might get old quick.
Mm.
And I mean, we get it. You're seeing the same people, but this could be, I don't think, beneficial if they have a women's one. Honestly, we're barely getting one match. And I get it. You want to, if you want to feature more women and that's why you want to do it, yes. But if you're just going to do it just to do it, I don't think so. I feel like focus on the women right now, giving them their stories. You know, we have Chris Statlander, we have just Tony Storm, we have amazing talent right now on the roster, and the women are not being showcased properly. So if you're just going to have a tournament and also not showcase them properly, I don't think it's worth it. What do you think?
Yeah, I can agree with you to an extent. I mean, I feel like this tournament has done a really good job at really showing the male wrestlers' personalities, though. So I feel like if they do it correctly, I think it could elevate the women's division. And the reason why I say that is because we've seen a lot of backstage promos with the different wrestlers after they've won or lost their matches. And I feel like having the women do that in a Continental Classic type of format, I think it could bring more eyes and it could bring more television time and also, you know, social media presence. But again, if they're doing it just to be like, here, we gave you some more women, that's not sufficient. Like, this classic, if they decide to do it for the women, it needs to be well thought out. Who are you putting in here to elevate them, right? Because a lot of the men that they put in this classic are either at the top of their game, like a John Moxley, like a Jay White, like a Swerve. And then you have other individuals who kind of fall in that mid-card category, like a Brody King, a Daniel Garcia, an Andrade. That is what they need to do if they are going to do it for the women. Some of the women that come to mind immediately that they should have in a tournament like that would be Britt Baker, Willow. I think they can even pull Athena in there. First of all, Tony, that is what I need to come to you with, because you were on that press conference and you said, oh, Athena can wrestle anywhere. I'd like to have Athena on all the shows, X, Y, and Z. And then we want to see her on Dynamite. We want to see her on Rampage. We don't want to just see Athena. Oh, by the way, we're going to put her on the pre-show of an AEW pay-per-view. No, put her on the main card. I understand that she's the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, but you have MJF, who's an ROH Tag Team Champion, on an AEW card. I understand he is also the AEW World Champion, but what is the hesitation of having Athena?
Could you imagine if it was like reversed in WWE, if everybody on SmackDown was an NXT champion and the champions of NXT never showed up in NXT and everybody was just on SmackDown the whole time? That doesn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. I guess that's that good old Burberry treatment. I don't know. You know, like I said, Athena, I think a Billy Starks would be good because she's just starting to really build up her reputation in the company. You can even put the Renegade Twins in there. You know, obviously they're a tag team, but hey, we see Brody King is involved here and he's also in a tag team. I think they have.
When Jamie Hayter's ready, you can bring her back. She would be great. Where's Reba Rebel? Where's she doing?
She's taking indie bookings, girl.
For real?
She
Good
is.
for her. Good for her.
But I feel like AEW has so many women under their wing that we don't see regularly that I feel like it wouldn't be hard to do a Continental Classic for them. But like we both said, it needs to be done right. I say that a lot about stuff in professional wrestling when it comes to the women, because I think a lot of times these companies just do stuff just to appease us, or they just ignore the out of us, which is why we haven't gotten an Evolution too. But there are a lot of times where I think these companies kind of have their ear like sideways on the Twitter timeline, and they're like, oh, they're asking us for more women. I guess we'll just throw together a Continental Classic for them. Like, I don't want it to be like, here, damn, quit asking. I want it to be, hey, you know what? We have 10 women, 15 women that we want to utilize on television on a weekly basis on all of our programming. Who can we put in these positions to elevate them, to make them grow, to make them have these matches with these different competitors that they might not necessarily face off ever within their career? They need to look at it like that, not as like a, oh, we're tired of you asking to put more women on TV, so we're going to throw this together. Like, if they're just doing it based on the strength of that, just don't do it at all, because your intentions aren't correct. We talked about returns. Now we're talking about exits. QT Marshall recently announced that he's leaving AEW at the end of 2023. Dave Meltzer stated that QT made his frustrations known for weeks, even months, to those in the company, saying that he wants to be a wrestling star and he wasn't finding that success in AEW. So obviously QT has done a lot behind the scenes. We've seen him on TV with QTV. Where do we see QT Marshall going? Do we see him being WWE bound? Maybe he'll, take on a full-time role as a trainer at the Nightmare Factory. Where would you like to see QT pop up next?
I think QT would be a great coach in WWE down in NXT. Mr. William Regal is down there. They could link up again. Bad bitch link up. Love to see it. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing him in NXT. I think he'd be a great champ. The QTV stuff was hilarious. And I think it's reminding me a lot of what Chase U is doing, Chase University. If there was a collab on that end, I think that would just be comedic gold. QT is honestly so well versed in everything wrestling. So I think he will be beneficial wherever he goes. Maybe also Impact or TNA. Who knows where he might go. But I do think WWE would be a little bit of a better fit. But if he doesn't want to be that corporate, then he can definitely keep his options open somewhere else. Where do you think he might be going?
I honestly want to say WWE as a trainer, but I think the fact that he's made it known that he wants to be a wrestling star kind of makes me hesitant to fully put both feet in to QT going to WWE. I think WWE is so focused on their younger talent right now that I don't see QT being that wrestling star that he truly wants to be in a wrestling company. I think he could do really well in Impact. I think, we've seen superstars that are in their 20s, late 20s, 30s, nearing 40 in Impact. And obviously it has nothing to do with age, so to speak. But when you think about a WWE who focuses heavily on hiring younger talent, they've even gone on record saying that they only really want to hire younger talent. You kind of look at QT and you're like, okay, are you going to come into WWE as kind of almost like a favor because Cody's there? Like, that shouldn't be the way that he gets in the door just because he knows Cody. Because I feel like QT has done really good things by himself. We've seen him hold titles in Mexico, you know what I mean? And he has made a huge impact on the world of professional wrestling. There were so many tweets and Instagram messages about him after he announced that he was leaving AEW. And that means he's made an impact on a lot of individuals. And that's good. That's good for him going to another company. I say this a lot about people and they move companies. Like, I just want him to be happy and I want him to fulfill what he wants to do. He clearly wants to be a wrestling star. I hope he finds a company that will make him a star. We'll see what happens on the next edition of QTV. I mean, hey, there's a lot of people who are announcing that they're leaving the company or looking at other options. You have MJF, who has gone on record numerous times to say that his contract ends with AEW in 2024. You have a lot of people who think that he secretly resigned, not resigned, re-signed.
Which people going to know the difference.
Re-signed or resigned is kicking y'all's ass, okay? A lot of people think he re-signed AEW in secret. Who knows if it happened? Guess who will tell us? MJF or Tony? You also have the absolute Ricky Starks, who has also teased that he may leave the company. And I have a couple thoughts on that. I'm sure you have a couple thoughts as well. I feel like my man Ricky is in the trenches right now. Yeah, he's holding the AEW World Tag Team titles with Big Bill, but I feel like this is not where he is supposed to be. We recently saw on AEW television some of the most horrific promo skills that I've ever seen. And it wasn't because of Ricky. It was because of who he was talking to. And at that point, a lot of people got online and they were like, Ricky, if you decide that you want to leave, we get it. And Ricky has been teasing a lot that he might just jump companies. He's putting the Indeed picture on Twitter and deleting it. He has people in WWE. We know him and Jade Cargill are really close. She's in WWE. Him and Cody are close. He's in WWE. We saw Ricky earlier this year at the Royal Rumble, and a lot of people are like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Why is he backstage visiting his friend? A lot of people causing commotion for no reason. He was just supporting his friend. But at the same time, you look at how he's being treated in this company, you almost wonder, well, is it a possibility that Ricky Starks may jump to WWE?
So I have thoughts about this. And I am 1,000% here for Ricky going to WWE because I do think that WWE will make him more of a star, right? I think AEW has caught a glimpse of it and the audience is now like, yes, we are behind Ricky. He's great. But they're missing the mark. They keep missing the mark with him. And my only hesitation about him going to WWE is that things are going to get more expensive. Ricky is going to get more expensive, right? These meet and greets that were $60, $70 before, they're going to be $300. Okay.
That's a concern, Iridian.
That's a concern. These are the concerns, is meet and greet prices. That's what I'm worried
I
about.
see what's important.
Yes. And then also just going to WWE shows is more expensive in general, right? In AEW, you can get floor seats for like, I mean, I guess it depends on the show, right?
It sure does.
In Chicago, you can get floor seats for like $100, maybe 120, like really, really close. But WWE, those seats are like $1,000.
Yeah.
It was like extremely, extremely expensive. So that's my only worry. But I do know that WWE can make Ricky WrestleMania Ricky. Like, I'm here for it.
I look at it like I looked at the Jade situation. I feel like AEW is not utilizing her to her full potential. And I feel the same for Ricky at this point. I feel like they know that they have a star, but they honestly don't even know how to utilize it. If you would have talked to me a year ago, I wouldn't have told you that Swerve would be the first Black AEW champion. I would have told you that Ricky Starks was going to be. And it's just the tides have turned. And it's really interesting to kind of look back on a year ago and you're like, damn, Ricky was cutting these promos. He was the top of the year, he's facing off against MJF. We were like, okay, now we might have hit the jackpot. Like, they're facing off. Is this finally Ricky's time? And it wasn't. And it's like, okay, is he ever going to get his time as a singles competitor in AEW? It's not looking good at this point as a Ricky Starks bad bitch. Like, I'm in peril.
Shook, right? And then when that didn't happen, when he didn't beat MJF, we're like, oh, okay. And then they put him in the tournament for what was it, the Owen Hart tournament.
Yep.
And he won that, and we're like, okay, great. But then it feels like his momentum just keeps going down after you have these really, really good moments, and then he's just kind of lost in the shuffle, because now you're not thinking about Ricky Starks, you're not thinking about the tag team champions. People are talking about the Continental Classic.
Right.
So it's not like Ricky is, unfortunately, he's not a highlight of the show, which it's unfortunate because he's literally a tag team champion right now.
Mm-hmm. Justice for Ricky.
Justice.
Until it's backwards. Looking at the state of professional wrestling, is there anyone else that you feel like could maybe company jump in the next year in 2024 coming up?
With the whole CM Punk thing, people were talking about, oh my God, Rollins can go to AEW. And I said, be serious. Be serious, guys. I don't think Rollins is going to go to AEW. Tyler Black might, but not Seth Rollins. I don't see it. I honestly don't think Rollins would leave. Somebody who I do think would benefit from leaving AEW, Wardlow. At the height of Wardlow, if you would have put Wardlow against Roman Reigns in a main event on a pay-per-view,
the bad bitches would have been sweating.
That would have been money. That's money left on the table, right? Not Wardlow right now. I don't think he can do it now, but I feel like if you give it a couple months, you got to build Wardlow up again. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not seeing anybody.
I want to say this before you move on.
Okay.
I said it last night. I said it on Twitter. My stand card for Wardlow has been shredded.
Absolutely.
1,000 pieces. And it's unfortunate because Wardlow had the female demo in the palm of his hand. Mm-hmm. And, whether you were there for his wrestling skills or you were there for his attractiveness, whatever you were there for, you were supporting him, right? And I feel like his momentum really got up at Double or Nothing when the whole MJF thing. I feel like from there, it kind of went down a little bit. The women were still kind of, there for him because he had won. He was finally contracted under AEW, but something was just off, right? And then when he cut his hair, it was like night and day. It just seemed like the whole female demo was kind of like, oh, nope. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. And then he was out for a little bit. He came back. He still had the short hair. And the female demo chattered a little bit, but it wasn't how it was before. I don't see any War Daddy tweets on my timeline anymore. I don't see the women being like, oh my God, Wardlow's on TV. He doesn't have that presence that he had before. And I don't know where that spark went. I don't know if it really truly was the hair that had the female demo just going wild. I don't know, but this is not hitting like it was before. It really is not.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%.
Let's move on to our Spill in the Wine segment. We have not done this in a minute, and I have some things to talk about. The topic that we are going to discuss is art theft and theft in general in the IWC. And you're probably like, why are you talking about this? I have seen theft recently that has me so puzzled, so shook to my core, that I just wonder, what is wrong with people? Okay, I've seen people steal photos from DTF Mania. That rubs me the wrong way. I've had my own stolen in this community in the last year, and it just puzzles me why we can't credit people, why we can't come up with our own original ideas. And what also bothers me is that it's women in this community who are getting stolen from, whether it's t-shirt designs, photos, articles, etc. Why do we feel the need to steal from women? First of all, women in this community are so sparse as it is. Like, obviously, we've had a lot of women join the space within the last couple of years, whether it's by stumbling upon wrestling or their boyfriends or their husbands or their significant others watching it, or them watching Total Divas and, transforming into a wrestling fan. However, they've had their segue into professional wrestling, the women are here. And I talk about it a lot online on Twitter that I feel like the women aren't respected, the men are musty, etc. But like when we talk about theft, I don't appreciate it. It is so important to credit the individuals that you are reposting, that you are posting their like. It is not hard to be like, credit X, Y, and Z. It is not hard to have your own original t-shirt ideas and go based off that. Listen, if you can't come up with an original t-shirt idea, maybe stick to just shutting the up. I can't tell you anything else. I know you look shocked, Iridian, but I'm being dead ass.
I know you are.
It's getting really old, and I've seen people's content getting stolen and all types of stuff. And yes, I'm talking about women's wrestling talk. I don't care. With what money? Because those shirts are not selling. Because you spelled Jacqueline wrong. With that being said, I feel like going into 2024, we need to re-guide our focus, right? We need to start calling people out when they're wrong, when they still aren't. We need to have a conversation. We need to tell them, hey, you stole this from somebody. Hey, this looks a lot like whoever. You know what I mean? We need to stand up for these individuals, especially women, because I'm going to tell you right now, whenever some goes awry, I don't see men standing up for women in this community. It's usually another woman who will stand up and say something. The men get silent like a church mouse when goes awry. But guess what? You remember earlier in the episode, we asked, who is the most dramatic person you know? It's a man. Who also likes the Chisme the most? It's a man. They gonna sit on that timeline, they gonna scroll, and they're just gonna read everything, but they won't say anything.
I am a big fan of adding people on social media. If I'm talking to you, I'm going to at you, because why would you just subtweet? I feel like that doesn't make any sense. If you have something to say it with your chest and mean it and tag that person, because subliminal messages, we're grown. Everyone on this app is grown. Everyone on social media and the internet wrestling community, we're all grown. We know better. So if you're just trying to start things with people who have the time because they don't do anything else, like, come on, be serious.
And I've talked about it on my platforms about women's wrestling talk, and I haven't said much here, but I know there are some people who may not follow WWD CAST Wrestling Winedown on Twitter or Instagram. I haven't really said anything on Instagram. It's mainly on Twitter. But Women's Wrestling Talk is a platform within our community that has stolen from me. They've stolen from fellow writers. They have not paid fellow writers, and their whole staff was mainly women of color. That rubs me the wrong way. I am a woman of color. I went to school for journalism. I take this very seriously. I have worked in PR. I've worked in journalism. You credit your writers. You credit your photographers. You credit everybody. You stealing work. You stealing t-shirt designs. You stealing photos. As somebody who worked at TMZ, you should know the basic specifics of being a journalist. That has not been proven time and time again, that you are not a professional. You should not be running a business. And furthermore, you just need to sit the down and give people the opportunities that are actually working their asses off. And I know I sound irritated. It's because I am, because I see these women like Stephanie Hardy, like Lyric Swinton, like Nikki Bushi, like Santana. I could keep on naming names, but these women have put out the work. You know what I mean? They've taken the photos. They've gone to press conferences. They've written articles. They've interacted with these wrestlers. They have built the connections that has become women's wrestling talk. I don't see TK out there building these connections. She might be in the press room, but she's also on her computer outside when the whole pay-per-view is going on.
And it's crazy, right? Because you would think that a woman in the community also wants to help other women in the community.
Right.
And to have all of these women working under her, and their credit wasn't given. They were not being paid. So not even to be rewarded with opportunities like interviews and like press scrums, to have the women not be able to do that because she wanted to do it. Unfortunate, very unfortunate situation. And the fact that she's still getting interviews and her platform is still growing. She's still making money when
she's
paying any of her people.
I haven't said a lot publicly about this. I do comment from time to time when I see people not knowing what's going on with women's wrestling talk, but I usually will kind of stay in my lane. But this is something that has really struck a chord with me, not only as someone who's had their stuff stolen by TK and women's wrestling talk, but also as being in the wrestling space and seeing women that I've worked with, that I've hung out with, etc., be in a place where they feel like they don't want to continue in this field because of somebody like her. And it really irritates me because, again, I'm a Black woman. I'm in journalism. I love professional wrestling, and I love to see other women who look like me, who have the same motivations as me, enter this space. And the fact that they get turned away and they have this hesitancy to continue because somebody who should not be running a business, who has probably never really realized what it takes to have a group of employees under her, she doesn't know what she's doing. And, like I said, I've tried to stay out of it, but I feel like it's so important for me, having a platform, the platform that I do, to speak up for what's right. What has been done to these women is not right. And I think she needs to be held accountable. And I will continue saying stuff until she is held accountable. And it might seem repetitive. It might seem annoying. But how would you feel if you were in a position where you worked hard and you wrote articles and you took photos and you designed merch and somebody just stole your from you? You would be hurt. You would be upset. You would be sad, maybe. And I've seen all of these women in their thoughts, and it truly just makes me so upset every single time I think about it. So I wanted to say that on the podcast because, obviously I could tweet all day and talk about, what TK has done and Women's Wrestling Talk has done and share the screenshots and the public knowledge stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm getting on here and I'm saying it publicly. Mm-hmm. Women's Wrestling Talk needs to be defunded. They probably don't have any money to begin with, but they need to be defunded. Okay?
I back that.
Let's talk about real merch. Okay. Shop.WrestlingWinedownLV.com. We have some amazing merch up right now. You can get have yourself a Merry Little Deathmatch shirt, which is our Christmas collection. We have 2 editions of our Bad Bitches for Hangman shirt. We have a special edition with the Lasso Heart. And then we also have our OG design for our Bad Bitches for Hangman. We have our Dana Garcia. We have our Eddie Kingston. We have a bunch of stuff on the website. If you are a wrestling fan going to an event or you just want a cute shirt, shop.WrestlingWinedownLV.com. Thank you so much, Iridian, for joining me here on Wrestling Winedown. Where can the people find you on social media?
You guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Iridian_Fiero. And make sure you head over to YouTube at Rest Friends for vlogs, interviews, and just a lot of more fun stuff. Oh, and I'm also on Fightful every Saturday. After Collision, it's the post show. Definitely catch that. It's me, Cresta, and Riccacino, but usually it's a 2-woman powerhouse with me and Cresta.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.WrestlingWinedownLV.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!